Mystery Date, the thrilling new Milton Bradley game of romance and mystery that's just for you. And you. And you. And you. Mystery Date. Will you be ready for swimming? Or a dance? When you open the door, will your mystery date be a dream? Or a dud?
Oh!
Fun and surprises. That's Mystery Date. So, girls,
open the door for your mystery date.
Get Mystery Date.
Hi, and welcome to Ward 13. And our guest today, Gonzo, has gone out for a cigarette. I wish I was there with him, even though I don't smoke. I occasionally have one. And Winter Trabex.
Good afternoon.
Who is running for alderman at large.
Yes.
But under your legal name.
Yes.
And why don't you tell the folks?
It's Mark Dennis, last name Denis. So come and vote September 21st. You don't have to vote for me, just vote for who you believe in.
Do you really think that, never mind.
Well, I can answer it. I'll answer anything.
I don't want to vote this time.
You don't have to.
I voted in every election.
This isn't Australia. We're not compulsory voting.
I know, that's true. Australia is, I think it probably should be. But of course in Australia you got a parliament and you have multiple parties instead of one party. Well, as I see it, one party in two wings. All capitalist, and even Canada has three major parties.
I think they should just abolish the two parties completely.
I think we should have a parliamentary system. This system doesn't work, in my opinion. Certainly, Congress doesn't work anymore. But it's just like the old Soviet Union, which the United States increasingly resembles
Emulates.
In kind, but not degree. Yeah, the gerontocracy.
I remember reading about the media confusion and the strangeness around definitions and words that are going on now that went on in the Soviet Union as well. And it's just like,
oh yeah, our empire.
So weird.
Yeah, we just lost in Afghanistan too. Why we were there, I'll never know, because
oil and resources and
there's no real
minerals.
Oil there. Well, it is flanking. It flanks both Pakistan and Iran, and Iran's got oil.
I guess the bottom line is politicians have a very difficult time admitting when they're wrong.
I think it's just because, it's just a money-making operation, like Vietnam. The corruption during the Vietnam War was legion. It was legion.
McNamara is 1,000. Oof.
Well, it's not. McNamara was a different story, but people that I know that were in Vietnam talk about the black market, the stuff that comes into the country and just winds up on the black market.
My father served in Vietnam. He talked about that a lot.
Most of the billions of dollars sent to Vietnam, the South Vietnamese government was just stolen. And but a lot of contractors made a hell of a lot of money. It's said that after the Civil War, or I always like to call it the War of the Rebellion, that's what it was called up to like 1900. Because, it was the rebellion. And the official history of the Civil War, which is published like in the 1890s in a bunch of volumes, is the War of the Rebellion. But then,
I think I read something like that.
But then, the old Confederates, they become powerful in Congress again. So they have to call it the Civil War.
Yeah, they pardoned Jefferson Davis and had him run for office again, which made no sense at all.
Well, they pardoned almost everybody. I don't think he got pardoned, though. He got pardoned in a way. I know Lee got pardoned. So when all these people say, well, they were traitors, actually they're literally not. There were very few people. Because Robert E. Lee got pardoned. But I don't think they could run for office. That would be a show. In
I remember
itself.
something. Maybe he didn't, but I remember they didn't put him in jail, and I was just like, that would never happen today.
Well, nobody's going to jail today except the flunkies that were down January 6th. And if they'd had a police force there that they should have had, nothing really would have happened except some bitching and probably some arrests. But they would never have gotten into the Capitol.
And it's interesting, is it? At the time, I was thinking like, if that was full of black people, you would have been so many police officers
there
that
was.
you couldn't count them all.
At the BLM one, they had the Joint Chiefs, the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the 4-star general was there, who he got pissed off when he found out he was used as a photo opportunity.
Just like Douglas MacArthur and the.
It's almost like both sides wanted it
and
to
the bonus
happen.
army.
Oh, that's not you. How do you know so much about history?
Tell
Tell us about yourself.
I like to read books. I avail myself of the public library.
You're a very good writer,
Thank you.
but history is one of your.
I like reading books. It just passes the time, and sometimes I find something interesting.
Interesting thing about the bonus army was MacArthur was there, and then his aide-de-camp, Colonel Eisenhower, and there was Major Patton.
Yeah.
And he's the one who led the charge in Anacostia at the bonus camp. But inside the camp was Patton's own sergeant from World War I, where they both got the Distinguished Service Cross because they both tanks in those days, and he was always a tanker. He was one of the first tankers, Patton, when he was a colonel in World War I. He would walk in front of the tanks because they didn't go very far, and he got grievously wounded. Another quarter of an inch, he'd be dead. He got shot right near the crotch, and it came out his one of his buttocks, and the artery down there almost got hit. And his sergeant saved him, and they both won the Distinguished Service Cross. And over the years, because of the Depression, the guy had some hard times. And Patton came from a wealthy family, but his father-in-law was like the Lowells or Lawrences. He's a mill owner, so he was. His wife was rich, so he'd help the guy out. But then he was part of the bonus army, and that became part of the story. And Patton, they brought it up, and they said, "Oh, he's a communist now." And so they were estranged for a while, but then like a couple of years later, they became close again.
Congress authrized the early payment in 1936.
But the thing is, it's the human interest story we're going for. As Matt Connaughton always tells me, all the details are very boring.
I find it exciting and interesting.
Very boring. Yeah.
Well, yeah, the World War veteran one were promised a bonus, but they weren't going to get it from Hoover.
Promises the veterans.
I don't think they paid it to 45.
It was scheduled until 1945.
Oh, so it was supposed to be paid in 45.
And then Congress authorized it early in 1936.
Okay, but was that after the bonus march?
Yeah.
The bonus march was during Hoover.
It was in 32, 33. And
32.
It was the thing that cost Hoover the election.
Well,
because
lots of stuff cost Hoover the election.
The country saw how he was treating his veterans.
They always said, he lost the election, and FDR won a crushing victory because the economy was tanked, and he just didn't do anything. One of the funny things, my father always told me there was a quote from Hoover, because my father went through the Depression, and one of his earliest memories was when after FDR got elected, he was almost assassinated, but the assassin missed him and killed the mayor of Miami. And he remembers telling his class, his kindergarten class, or first grade. They didn't have kindergarten back then. But he always said that Hoover said something, well, things aren't so bad. Some people are doing better than ever. The bums, for instance. Now, when I was at university, I always thought that was apocryphal. But because they've digitized all sorts of newspapers, they found out he actually did say that. The bums, and he actually said, some of them are getting 3 or 4 meals a day. They keep running through the lines.
That's why they call him Hooverville.
Yeah, well, a terrible president, but outside of the presidency, he was a very competent person because he handled the relief after World War I and after World War II. FDR hated his guts because Hoover said some horrible stuff about him. But Harry Truman didn't care, even though he was a big FDR fan. And do you know anything about history?
Yeah, I do. It was Patton's left butt cheek, actually.
Oh, it was.
It was, and it cost him the election.
You were talking about buttocks earlier today, but that would be for a different type of show.
Yes, I was. I was talking about.
Oh, well, that's enough. Are you going to play something?
No.
I'm gonna cut you off.
No, don't worry about that. Just pretend it's not here.
Why not? I thought you were going to play.
Like a 10,000-pound elephant in the room.
You said you wanted to
You
play
said
something.
the 33 March cost Hoover the election. I disagree.
No, the bonus march didn't. It was just
That-
one of the factors.
That's what I said.
Yeah, I would have to disagree with you, Winter. I think what cost him the election was the stance he made on minestrone soup.
Well, there you go.
Yep.
Do you know that the person that tried to assassinate FDR was an Italian?
Of course,
And he was
I knew
only like
that.
5 feet tall, so he couldn't really get a good shot. So I think he had to stand on something.
Yeah.
But for history, right? Then John Nance Garner would have become Texas Jack.
But Winter is a very good author. I've read some Inklink, right?
Yes.
Yes, you
I write
freelance for the.
sometimes for Inklink.
Yep.
Do you write professionally or?
I used to, but it doesn't pay well, honestly.
It doesn't, does it?
It's like you work 12 hours a day and you can hardly pay your bills when you're done. It's
Everything they expect you to be, you will get, you're only going to do us a favor, right? And you'll build your brand and
No,
you
don't-
don't pay anymore.
Don't writers write though? Like, don't you have to write? Like, if you're a writer,
you,
you're a writer.
you have to stay in practice, but usually for me that's like once or twice a month at this point.
Yeah. I don't know. For me, I couldn't imagine not. If I wasn't getting paid for something, I'm still gonna make art because that's.
If you make it for yourself, that's one thing, but don't expect to make a living off it.
Well, he does.
I do.
Oh, you do?
I
Well,
make
good for
a
you.
very good living, actually.
He claims he made $260,000 last
240.
year.
240.
If I were to report you to the IRS that this is unreported income in order to get a
Maybe.
bonus,
I might be a few dollars off.
how many?
I don't know. I mean,
Well, on Matt's show you said
do
260.
do
which
waiters always claim every tip?
nowadays
You gonna
they
tattle on them?
the IRS just screws you.
Sometimes the boss steals the tips.
Yeah.
They don't even get to the waiters.
Well, I only sell to Japan. I'm big in Tokyo and Japan.
Do they pay you in like a Swiss
It all
bank
gets
account?
converted through my agent, and I just keep banging them out. So
How many paintings have you sold this year?
this year, what's it? August, September, about 19.
Is that true, or you're just masturbating us?
No, I'm not debating you
We
at
can't
all.
use rude language.
Why? I'm not gonna jerk around here. I'm gonna tell you the truth.
I like to say
Just the one first word's fine.
I like to say giving you narfles.
What does that mean?
It's a word I made up.
Oh,
It doesn't
okay.
mean anything. It's not a swear word, so it's just like you say it and it's like, what?
Oh, like Fark.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was a kid, there was a Laugh-In was the #1 show, and they had Fred and Fanny Farkle and the Farkle family.
Belly
and the
who?
name is supposed to give you belly laughs because it is evocative of an Anglo-Saxonism.
Tomfoolery.
And if anybody knows where Fred and Fanny Farkle were from,
Ohio.
call in and we'll give you. Well, I wouldn't give this.
It's Ohio.
away. No, they were actually from a place not far from here, but not in New Hampshire.
Berlin.
Not in Pennsylvania either. It's between Pennsylvania and
Lawrence, Mass, probably.
you're very close. They were actually it's a different. They were from Chicopee, Mass, but it was only in one show.
Boring.
Oh, shut up. Well, play your damn thing. What are you going to talk about?
Let's talk
Minestrone
about
You don't know about Paul.
transgender rights.
You don't know
That's
about
what I thought we were
politics.
talking about.
Well, nobody except for you. We could. I figure we'll reschedule that show.
I don't know that I'm an expert, but I know something about it.
I think I'm an expert too. I think that
An expert at both.
well, if people have watched Ward 13 lately, we've been covering this extensively. I would say.
No, we covered gay rights.
Rights.
the
We're
other
talking about
time.
rights
But
here.
Dawn can't make it today. Well, what's the state of Jim O'Connell is going to call in of the school board member at large, and he was going to talk about the transgendered student policy in Manchester, which has got a lot of flack from one of the candidates for mayor. Would you want to mention that?
I don't know this too well, but I imagine a lot of conservative politicians approach their job from a reactionary standpoint, which means they don't want change. They want things to stay the same. They're not really willing to update things, which is, even if you go back far enough, that's not how things used to be. 50s and 60s, they kept progressively changing. When female students were allowed to wear pants, these sorts of things. It kept progressing with the times. And now it seems like they just want to go backwards.
But it's not from. It just didn't happen without a lot of pressure. I would mention. I'll mention Howard Zinn, who drives him crazy. Author of A People's History of the United States.
I've read that. That's
yeah,
pretty
of course.
good.
He has it. The best-selling history of all time.
I've read it.
And as he talks about, he was originally an advisor to SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, because he was down at one of the he taught history at a traditionally black college in Atlanta. And Alice Walker, who wrote The Color Purple, was one of his students.
Was it Morehouse?
And Morehouse is a male school.
Oh.
It's the female equivalent. It was at the time a co-ed institution were usually state schools, where that meant men and women. Now Harvard, up until the 70s, was for men. Radcliffe was for women.
Really? Till the 70s?
Oh yeah.
Women didn't attend
No,
Harvard
a
University?
woman went to Radcliffe. When I was at Boston University, we got a new dean, Dean Betty, who was great. I was in trouble there too, raising hell.
There was a lot of resistance to school immigration in Mass in the 60s.
She was brought to Boston University. She was brought in because at the University of Pennsylvania, which is a private school, an Ivy League school, she was the dean of women's studies. And the University of Pennsylvania in the 60s, I think like 1964, was the first private university of its caliber to, do away with the split between men and women at college. But there was the thing that women and men shouldn't matriculate together. You know what that word means, don't you?
Yeah, bang. Isn't that the whole point?
No, it doesn't mean banging.
Isn't that the whole point of going to college, is to be a co-ed and
Well, if you're simple-minded and like a Joe College type.
That's not how it used to be.
No, you were supposed to go to college. College until the GI Bill was very select. Very few people could go to college.
Right.
Most people were working class. The middle class meant, up until after World War II and the GI Bill, meant you're a doctor, a lawyer. You owned a store or a business. Farmers were considered middle class because they owned their own property, and they could be poor. But it was more of like an English type of thing. Most people didn't go to college until the GI Bill. The only way, like Jack Kerouac, the great writer from Lowell, Mass., French Canadian. I was just reading one of his books. He's one of my favorite writers.
Me too.
The only reason he could get to college because he was a star football player for Lowell High School, and he writes about the big game with Manchester because he writes, because Manchester with its Manchester, Lowell, Lawrence, they'd played each other, and of course his parents were from Nashua.
Yeah, I read that as well.
But the only way he could get to Columbia was because he played football, and then when he broke his leg, and then he had some troubles, and he's no longer going to be in the football team. That's the end of his scholarship. And
Tailback, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I read about him.
Yeah, he was a famous runner, but he's small. So he was a small. He's only like 5'10" or something.
Yeah, he got hurt.
But in the Ivy League, you didn't have the monsters of like these these great football programs.
Yeah.
The Ivy League has never.
Well, Harvard has always held their own in football.
What?
Football.
They have their own Ivy League conference. They can't play like the.
Oh yeah, obviously. Yeah.
Some they say it's unfair, like Ohio State and schools like that. Ohio State is an excellent school, but it's a football program with a university attached. When you're down south, because my father lived in Atlanta, and he lived in Alabama, but just until Brady, football was like the third sport here in New England. But down south, it was a religion.
Yeah, Florida.
Religion. Everybody had a college team too.
My father has Clemson.
Yeah, because the Falcons sucked in Atlanta. Yeah, so everybody had a college team. Where's your father from?
He's from South Carolina originally.
So
his team is Clemson.
So Southerners, they were so into college football because you didn't have The NFL was just in the Northeast for a long time.
No, we have BC. That's what we
Boots
root for
Mountain.
here, and it's kind of like once every 20 years.
You don't
but
vote for
it's-
UNH?
No, I mean I root for BC because they can. Once every 20 years, they'll compete. They'll get ranked top.
Oh, they
five.
have, they do.
But it's like every 20 years. You know?
Depends on whether they can inveigle somebody to come to the program, like Flutie.
Hello? Just kidding.
I don't care. We like to keep it loose here, folks.
I don't mind.
Yeah.
You got a call. You got a call.
No, I didn't get a call.
You could. I thought you were just going to play some mood
I
music.
told you not to call me here.
We've had all. When's Jim O'Connell going to
Peter
call?
White.
Is Peter White calling you?
That's him, yeah.
What does he want to talk to you about? You don't mind us
Narcos,
bitching
probably.
No, he just wants to know if
about going to the strip
This is
club.
my second time. I know what to
No.
expect.
Peter's
Wait till the third time when you become one of us.
because you have a
You'll
problem
be
with him.
bitching, duh.
Because you have a problem with them doesn't mean that everyone
I don't
does.
have a problem with Peter.
But that's another story for another show.
Peter saw a little too much of my PTSD when I was going through that.
We all have it.
You haven't really seen me in PTSD.
I think I have.
They have on the show.
I think
back
I-
in the early days.
I think I've seen a few episodes, not on TV though, but like in life, where you
just because I get mad. Oh yeah, well no, that's more like a hair trigger.
yeah. But then you come around, you're good.
God,
You're
this
good people.
this microphone looks disgusting.
Would you say that?
Oh, we're back to trans rights.
Well, yeah.
Are we?
Would you?
I don't know.
Would you say that this year versus last year? Forget 10 years ago. Would you say on a micro scale it's improving?
Oh,
Or is it-
I met with about Zen. You know, he had the girl. The women would go out and march, and they just had a story in the Washington Post, the New York Times, how at one point they put all these black girls who were at a demonstration in a stockade, and
What's
but.
that? What's a stockade?
I asked them, I said in the Washington Post thing, says, what stockade? What do you mean? A stockade usually means like a military installation, and a stockade is the jail.
Like a beer garden?
Yeah, because you think of that with the thing. You know, fundamental journalists tell us what actually happened. But, like, his whole book, The People's History, is things didn't happen unless people actually went out and struck and took direct action. And so, like gay rights, people were inspired by Martin Luther King and the civil rights. They just said, F it, we're not going to put up with this crap anymore.
Or Stonehenge?
I remember reading about that.
Oh, in San Francisco, there was something called the White Nights riot or something.
The first one was a riot, and then they started doing it in the 70s, and they encountered heavy police opposition, but
Yeah.
they kept doing it.
Right, and then you gain political power. The way gay men, we'll put it that way, gained political power was because at the time they were mostly single and everything. It turned out they realized they had such economic power that they could influence politics. One of the reasons.
Do you mean because they're not spending money on children?
Yeah,
and stuff?
you know, when you have kids, a kid, as you find
Yeah,
out, it's going to cost
they
you a
drain you.
fortune.
Yeah, they're expensive.
But this was the time before, because there was no gay marriage, there was no gay adoption. It was all opposed. But there was a time like in the late 70s, early 80s, when they realized, well, we have economic power, too. And
so they'd have some extra cash.
in Washington, inside the Beltway, I used to be down in Washington, Obama was opposed to gay marriage. And the 2012 election was coming up. And the big gay rights activists said, unless you support gay marriage, you're not getting a effing dime from us. And guess what? He had one of those conversions like Saul of Tarsus.
Like
you know?
Hillary Clinton. I remember she was very homophobic, and then later she said she revisited the idea, and I'm like, no, you just found a rich donor. That's what you found.
Yeah, that's because of the political muscle, the economic muscle, because they learned to organize. Because a riot isn't that effective. But when you understand lobbying and how much, even little amounts of, cash, and then you can, a great amount of cash, you can make a lot of progress. And as the gay community, and we're talking about gay men, because people didn't talk about lesbians as much then. I'm talking about 80s. Advertisers realized, well, this is a market that's big. And, started treating them with respect. And things start changing. But everything started, though, when the people started, we're not going to take this anymore, It doesn't start,
I feel
developing political
like
consciousness
MTV had a big
is an evolutionary
role
thing.
to play in, the popularity of coming out and being free to say, I'm gay now. Like, I feel like they got behind that movement, and now, like if you look at high schools,
Which is advertising,
yeah.
media.
If you look at high schools now, there's people that actually pretend to be gay. It's a thing, yeah.
I've never heard of that.
I've heard of it, and it's just to be popular, but like it's not shamed, it's not frowned upon. It's
It's been a while since I went to high school, so maybe I don't know.
right, but this
Well, it's like my friend Don said, but this was 40 years ago. Because we're, hey, it's something like dealing with something new because everybody was in the closet. And says, do you think that I would go through what I'm going through if I wasn't gay?
Yeah, even today, you come out, and if you're a public figure, you get harassed and vilified, and you get threats, and you turn it into the police, and they don't take you seriously.
Right, with social media. Yeah, because it's not.
So you've been threatened?
No, I'm just speaking.
Well,
in the
harassed.
aggregate.
It's harassment. Look at social media. You can harass people all
Like
the time.
what happens on Twitter is if you use what's called a tag to identify yourself as gay or transgender or whatever, you'll get what's called hate spamming. They'll other people will create bots and they'll endlessly fill your message board with all these hateful comments. On and on and on, and Twitter isn't doing anything about it.
Well, here's a story.
Just because you identify as something.
In
I didn't know
2013,
that.
I started politics over the dog park on the
Oh,
west side.
it's Twitch. It's not Twitter. Go ahead.
I don't
Sorry.
even I don't know social media that well.
No, you don't.
But in 2013, I started becoming politically involved because my friends asked me, and over the dog park on the west side, which Rich Gerard, of Gerard at Large at the time, the radio show, was invested in because it was backed by Tammy Simmons, the former chair of the Manchester Republican Party, though she wasn't at the time, and a friend of the Free Staters and former Ward 10 West Side Alderman Phil Griazzo, who's now in Bedford. And I got involved in this, and I didn't know who Rich Gerard was. And the venality of this man is his legion. It was just amazing. Suddenly he had this Gerard at Large website and board. Suddenly all these things started appearing. And he decided to attack him and his allies as I'm gay. And then I'm crawling through gay bars in Manchester naked and scarfing up drugs with my anus.
You weren't
I mean,
naked.
This stuff.
Yeah.
No, when we used to go, right?
Yeah.
But I had never. I remember in high school, people say like, "Oh, you're homo or you're gay or something,"
He
But
said
it's
you were
just-
crawling in gay bars
I-
naked
I-
and
I-
stuffing drugs
It was-
in your butt.
It was the people posting on
Oh my
this
God.
who you could figure out gradually who they were after a while. I have all the screenshots of it because I went to Dave Nixon, who used to be a Republican powerhouse. Then he ran for governor, but he had the law firm Nixon, the Nixon law firm, and they told me
Yeah, Nixon,
that
Hall, and Hess.
saying that somebody's a homosexual now is not libelous. But it's not that I was anti-gay or anything. It's just that I never had been subjected to something like
You had
that.
one
Yeah,
bad night.
it's
And it's just, here's this man
Yeah.
and his website, because he could take all this stuff down, attacking me for being gay.
he could.
I'm
So
not.
what? I
He
don't care if
he
you
could-
are,
He
John.
can
No
hire
one-
Yeah, but the
volunteers.
point is they're attacking you
I
for
still love you,
something.
dude.
Why don't you just shut up and listen for a bit instead of being Gonzo? Although we love Gonzo. There you go.
Go ahead.
The point is not about it. It's just that these people are so vituperative. They're so hateful. And that's one of the things they hate,
They have the most supercilious animate version.
And, so they're making you the other as a gay person. And it's like 2013. I just lived in California for 20 years, In the San Francisco Bay Area, Monterey. Nobody could care. People could care less,
I don't care what
I
anybody
don't
is.
care.
I mean,
either, John.
but suddenly you miss the point.
We don't care.
Why don't you listen for something? Try to open up the brain, which I know is there, which is shriveled down to peanut size. Something.
Are you getting upset?
Well, you know what he has to do is he has to draw in the visual intelligence,
He's getting
which is different. No, you don't, because you're stupid. You don't understand. It's not the idea that they're calling you gay. They could have called me a four-eyed monster or this or that or child molester.
They used the
or
worst
something.
insult they could think of.
Right, which at the time is gay, which is first surprising. And, none of this happened. And it's just a shocking. But that's the type of person Gerard is and the people that are around him.
He could hire moderators on his website to remove those sorts of comments because...
No, the thing was to go after you. But it was just shocking because, as I said, it's like my father always said, he left Manchester when he was 40 years old, had my mother in the family. But that city's 25 years behind. But suddenly it's like I'm in a city that's 50 years behind.
It sure feels like it sometimes.
Yeah.
You think that is not very gay-friendly in Manchester?
I think there are some places that are and a lot of places that aren't.
I've never noticed anything otherwise. I mean...
Are you gay?
I happen to not be gay, but
it's like if we're black or something, we might not notice
so
things.
I met my wife through my two gay friends. I have many gay friends, and I've never really seen them be held down or like persecuted.
Put down.
Like you held me down, like
Put down.
Put down, yeah. But I've never seen it. Maybe I'm sure they have gone through it. Maybe it's their personal choice to talk about it or not. But
well, that's like the BLM movement, something, and that there's things that white people and liberals and progressives just don't see,
right?
Because you're not subjected to it.
That's true.
So the thing is shocking is like I've never been exposed to. I had never been a subject of anti-gay bigotry, except once I was in San Francisco walking to my college course, and this car of these white guys come by and say, "Hey, you faggot." I hate to use the word, but they look around. And then I look at them like this nasty look. I was a sergeant in the Army, and then they just drive away. And I realize later, they probably wanted to beat up somebody. And this was the early 90s in San Francisco, and which was probably the most liberal city.
I feel
when it came to gay
uncomfortable
rights.
when large groups of people are nearby because I have no idea what they believe or what they're going to do.
Yeah, so that was a surprise, but, I just glowering. And
You're talking to me.
well, I was surprised,
Yeah.
And because I'm not I was never subjected to that stuff.
I've been subjected to it because I have a lisp and I'm extremely good looking and all that stuff.
You are extremely good looking.
I've been told.
And who said that you are?
Gay men
besides
actually.
Besides Vianon.
Very much so, in Vianon. But no, I get it all the time,
Pretty,
and,
but dumb.
what I do is I just say, hey, thanks. I'm married though, so you can look, but you can't touch.
What is married? You could be on the down law.
No, I'm not on the DL. Actually, I'm.
What's the DL?
I'm on
the disabled list.
I'm on the up and up.
You're on the disabled list now.
No,
These days they call it polyamory.
I'm openly straight.
Pollyanna. Paul, I used to call my ex. I won't mention her name because last time I mentioned her, she wouldn't talk to me.
Who is wicked hot?
Pollyanna. And I'm up in Littleton, New Hampshire. There's a Pollyanna statue. So I sent her a picture of it, but she hasn't responded. Never talk about people you've had a relationship on the public TV. They might be watching. Why she was watching.
Yeah.
Every now and then somebody's watching and you're telling a story.
Mind your words about people you've had negative interactions with.
I've always broke
that's my
up
policy.
amicably.
Inimicably?
I've always been
Amicably?
I'm friends with all my exes because I feel like breaking up is just a decision you make
It's
together.
hard to do. So
Really,
you should-
even
you
if a
should be
girl
called-
breaks up with you or a guy breaks up with you, in your case, John, I would say that it's more, you know what you're doing to get to that point. You know what I mean? Like, I knew she was going to break up with me because of the way I was acting. I didn't change course. So it's like, when it happens, you just go out as friends.
Wait until you're 60. Women go through a change in their 50s.
Well, I'm married, so I'm never going to have another, dame, as you would call them. Again.
Oh, yeah, well, because the divorce rate is
darling.
non-existent.
Never is a long time.
Well, it is.
Are you going to Texas?
I mean, I'll follow my
Are you going to
wife.
go to Texas?
I'll do whatever she wants. So talk about wearing the pants.
The hoop.
Full circle. She's in charge, and I do what she says.
So you wear the panties and she wears the pants?
I don't wear panties. I wear boxer shorts, but she definitely is not afraid to wear pants.
Well, coming to New Hampshire, well, issues like that, I thought people to be behind the times, so to say.
So yeah, that was my question. Do you think this year versus last year is any different?
Last year was sort
Like,
of the year.
everyone says 10 years ago. What do you? But what about now and last year?
Last year was kind of a year in stasis, so I'd have to compare 2019 to
Okay.
today.
Yeah,
I think it's gotten a little bit worse, honestly.
worse,
Really?
down slope.
A little bit.
Okay. Do
Little
you
bit worse.
see next year being worse as well?
I don't know.
Would you project it to be?
I have no idea what's going to happen. I mean, I hope it gets better, but I don't know that for sure.
Yeah, I think that it's getting better. I mean, I like again though.
Can you play the Beatles song, It's Getting Better?
I'm speaking on something I can't really,
But he'll speak about it anyway.
I'll speak about it. I'll speculate. Yeah, it's a television show, and
A talk show.
I'm at an expert panel, so
Well, the experts, other than you, Winter, they had the things happen. That's when you have a public access show, you know.
well, I just take a lot of opinions that I hear from experts, and I, form my own. But my opinion
Do you
is
think that you're...
it's getting a little more liberal in that aspect.
we like the word progressive. 'Cause
Progressive.
we always associate
Tolerant.
liberal with Mike
Tolerant.
Dukakis.
I enjoy leftist, honestly.
There is no real leftism in America, but Mike Dukakis went right down the toilet. And I voted him New Hampshire primary
Now, that's
president.
a funny name.
Mike Dukakis?
Yeah.
I
great.
I remember reading about him.
That's a fun. Listen to this. That's a funny name, Dukakis.
Yeah, it is.
This is Manchester, right? Big
I-
Greek community.
I'm a poopy head. I like
Well,
silly
Gonzalez
At
with
least
an
you're honest
S.
about it.
jokes. Yeah.
Gonzalez with an S rather than a Z. That's
Correct.
kind of funky.
Portuguese.
I thought you said Polish.
I'm whatever I want to be.
So
That's
he was
my
actually. So
business.
that makes more sense. So your grandfather actually came from Fall River,
Yep.
not from Poland.
Yep.
Yeah, he has his fantasies. You know,
Everyone does.
what do they call it? Cannabis-based products, CBD.
No, that doesn't even
CBD.
do what you think it would do. That's
What kind of wine were you drinking before the show? Something good?
table wine, dinner wine.
What do you recommend? What kind? Red?
I had a glass of Pinot Noir.
Pinot Noir.
It's red.
Noir,
I had a steak.
which means black.
I had a prime rib for lunch.
Oh wow! You know, they say poverty is good
Over
for
at
an
the
artist's
Chop
soul,
House.
but his wife makes a lot of loot.
No, I make a lot of money too. I was at the Chop House having lunch.
No, you weren't. You were at your house.
No, not at noon.
Poverty might be good for an artist's soul, but it's not good for their production.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you that.
Poverty, no, I would disagree. When your back's against the wall, you kind of... Look, put it this way. If I
Charles
had...
Bukowski would agree with you.
No,
Says it's hard
Picture
to
that.
write on two candy bars.
picture this.
a
You're a
day.
golfer and you have crappy clubs, right? But you get really good at them.
But that's
And then you
different.
go pro, and then you get sponsored by Titleist. Now, your game is just that much better. So when you learn to do art
You
with crappy
are-
materials, then you get better. You use Golden and Montana Gold, all that.
Yeah.
Then you level up.
In my case, you
That
try
doesn't
and
make
you try and you
sense.
try and you never see a financial reward, and you just decide there's better ways to spend your time.
Well, yeah, if you're a writer, I suppose it's different. It's probably less of a market. I think the art.
Well, it's a
industry's booming.
saturated market since the internet.
It's
And plus-
completely oversaturated.
Plus, you
with
can't
And nobody wants to
money
invade.
launder in right. Like
And-
art is all about like
People
art-
aren't buying books anymore. They're going to the library or
Yeah.
they're downloading them.
That's true. Sorry about that.
So I've found a niche where I kind of do freelance reporting every now and then.
Yeah. You should
Oh,
pivot.
you're a good writer.
You're
very
a great
good
writer. You're a great writer.
Very good.
Why can't I say great?
Because you're being flatulent.
I'm not being flatulent.
It's hyperbolistic.
I'm being sincere.
Thomas Mann was a great writer.
Who?
He
Thomas Mann
wrote
Are
the
you
Magic
throwing a
Mountain.
name
didn't
out? See if I say I know who it was.
won the Nobel Prize for Literature.
Yeah, I don't know that one, but I know Winter.
he? Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's That's good company to be in the same sentence.
As Thomas Mann?
Yeah.
What, he doesn't know who Thomas Mann is.
Now,
As
isn't
far as
that
he knows who Jack Kerouac
Isn't that
is.
subjective, though? Who's a great writer?
Not really.
Some
There's
people
a
didn't think-
consensus on who is.
Some people didn't like Mark Twain. Some people say he was remedial.
Who said, what, do you know what the word remedial means?
Yeah.
Since you've got out of the remedial
Adolescent,
English class?
sophomoric.
No, it doesn't really.
Yeah, it does, kind of.
No,
Yeah.
no, no.
Stupid head.
Dumkov.
Doom.
Shaiskov.
What's a doom?
Is it Shishkov?
Scheisse.
One's shoot and the other is...
Scheisse is how you pronounce it.
What?
Scheisse is how you pronounce it.
Okay, Shaiskov.
This sounds like a slur to me.
Problem is, sometimes you think you're saying one thing and you're actually saying shoot.
I know what you were trying to get at.
Okay, yeah.
I think that
I thought you were going to play this damn thing.
this is just ornamental.
Oh, Jesus.
But get it?
Are you any good at it?
Yeah, I'm fantastic.
Let's hear you.
right.
What tune would you like to hear?
Something by Billy Joel.
Play the piano, man. I'm tone deaf.
That's it. What'd you think?
Good. Can you play some Jelly Roll Martin?
Yep.
Barrel House.
Ready for this one? Right. The Sting.
Well, that's Scott Joplin. That's a little high, though.
Not bad, right? High C.
Why would you play it in high C?
Microphone's in the way.
You realize that's an.
Are you jealous? Can you do
an
it?
anachronism. No, I've no. Nobody in my family can play an instrument.
I
Nor are we good
specialize
with
in
languages.
funeral music.
I mean, foreign languages. Seems like they go together. A musical ability and foreign language.
Music is more about mathematics, and languages is more about conceptual understanding. At least from what I know.
I'm talking about
Please be
speaking.
seated.
Oh, speaking.
I could read French, but when God, I went to Paris. Yeah, the Canadian French just doesn't prepare you. You know. You could get a job down at the baseball stadium.
Right.
We need a theme for the show.
Charge.
You know, here's the damnedest thing. I always thought that this I'm writing a satire, but I'm not going to tell you what it's about. Well, it has to do with bears, and I always thought, what was Peter and the Wolf? Because you know, when you're a kid, the Prokofiev.
Yeah, the boy who cried
It
wolf.
turned out to be, but the thing was, it turned out to be the teddy bears having a picnic. That's what I thought was Prokofiev. You know, some popular song from the 30s. Do you know the teddy bears? Today, the day the teddy bears are having the picnic. But it's got like this.
It's like a march.
Yeah, and I thought that was and it's not Peter and the Wolf at all.
Like that?
If you go out to the woods today,
Yeah, that one.
You
Crying
can
Wolf.
sing it to your kids.
So Crying Wolf is when you say,
The bluesman.
hey, you know, look at me, and then the wolf comes, and then it's like, you're right, buddy, you already said that 5 times, like that, right?
Yeah.
Right. So I don't understand how you're gonna write a bear story, a crying bear, John.
What is he talking about?
I don't know anything about this.
It's
I
like
was-
he's full of it's just gibberish.
I was just thinking about how Goldilocks is a story of white privilege. That's all came to mind with me.
White privilege, my ass.
Here you have a woman who breaks into someone else's house, eats all their food, and gets away with it.
Well, they were bears.
They're
Yeah.
brown bears.
Well, you're either brown bear or a black bear or a cinnamon bear, but cinnamon bears are very rare. I read a book, Gold, and one of those children's books about the cinnamon bear. Then there are the dancing bears, but most places have outlawed that.
Cinnamon bear is a thing?
There are cinnamon bears.
Huh. Red?
Yeah, the color of their
Like a redhead?
russet.
Like a vixen?
The symbol of the Soviet of Russia is a bear,
Mm-hmm.
It is?
Yeah.
Oh, yes,
yeah.
it is, yeah. Siskel and Hammer.
and it's associated with masculinity. Where what is it? The fox is a trickster in Russian folklore, and usually feminine.
Yeah, that's pretty common in Asia.
And basically, the bear will say to the when he finds out what the fox been up, I'm gonna smash you in the mouth if you don't cut it out. And that seems very Russian.
I've been called a bear.
Hi, save us from Gonzo. You're on Ward 13.
Hey, John, how are you? Jim O'Connell.
Jim.
Hello.
We got about 10 minutes. Why don't you? This is Jim O'Connell.
All right, good to hear from you.
We have Winter Trabex,
Hey.
who's trans individual,
All right.
running for alderman at large, and you are the school board at large member. And can you
Correct.
tell us a little about the trans policy at the schools and the opposition
So-
to it, which we think is
So the policy is pretty simple, right? So transgender and other everybody under LGBTQI, all of it, right? So the policy is that there will be no discrimination based on gender or gender identity.
Right.
So,
Title IX.
it's pretty simple, really, right? It doesn't go into details about we have this policy for this and we have this policy for that and we've got some other policy for binary and we got some other policy for. We just have a policy that has specifically that there will be there's no bias we don't accept any discrimination against students, staff, or anybody else based on gender identity.
And the U.S. Supreme Court has upheld that transgendered individuals are covered by the Civil Rights Act of '64, right?
Title IX.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, the
that's
controversy
68.
earlier this year. I think there was some controversy when this issue was spelled out. There were a couple of times it came up since I've been on the board. One was with regard to employees and insurance coverage for gender change, etc. And so
Hormone therapy.
that was something that there was some controversy about, but that was passed by the board that our insurance wasn't going to discriminate either. And
Which
then
the Board of
other-
Aldermen
the other
passed something
point-
similar years ago. Yeah.
So, and then with regard to our students, what I heard as pushback from some people was that people thought erroneously, wrongly, that somehow the school district was promoting, teaching, or whatever, anything, and that simply wasn't the case. But there were people in the city who wanted to make that because they wanted to make it controversial. And I found it very simple in my response is that this shouldn't be controversial at all. It basically says, my wording of it, it would be, thou shalt not discriminate against the students of the city of Manchester based on gender. That makes it pretty simple.
And
Of course, we had people who didn't like that, who wanted to talk about bathrooms and the world is ending. And I made the point: what has bathrooms got to do with that topic? It's a tenuous connection, if anything, because people
It's just a
do.
flimsy
There's more to
excuse.
their lives than going to the bathroom. They get up in the morning, they have their dinner, they play sports, they have fun with others, they learn, they do a million things a day, they breathe and walk. And yeah, they have to go to the bathroom too. Why is that what you want to talk about?
Well, also we had somebody like Rich Gerard saying that it violates people's religious sensitivities, and he brought up the Catholic being a Catholic, and I know I would assume you're Catholic, being born in Ireland.
Yes,
my mother was Irish
Yes,
Catholic.
yes.
Do you think that's
I'm
a valid
Catholic,
valid criticism?
No,
Yeah.
no, not at all. Just like, people can have their beliefs, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? It's just that's when you want to impose them on others. So it's actually 180 degrees from that, right? It's rather than discriminating against anybody, it's removing discrimination. What the other stance would be that you're trying to insist that whatever your view must be the view that's held by everybody else, and you're damned if you're going to let them live the lives that they choose to live because you're going to impose your morality and your views on them. And that's just not how the world. Certainly, it's not how the world should be. it may be how the world is in some backward places, but you know, this is the great city of Manchester, and it's believe it or not, the year of our Lord 2021. And we've all grown up a little bit, I think.
Even the U.S. Supreme Court, which has a 6-3 Republican majority and conservative judges put on by Trump, upheld transgender rights. Yeah. So basically, you're
that, you know,
making it legal. You're bringing the Manchester School District in line with settled constitutional law.
No one's trying to take away another person's rights by making sure that others have theirs.
Right.
Yeah. It's a non-issue. It just goes to show that people, whether they're Republicans, Democrats, or anything else, that you know, common sense and decency and tolerance and you know, a feeling of we're all Americans together predominates, and that the loud voices on the edges who seek to divide us based on these fault lines are, you know, shame on them, because they're divisive. They get their oxygen through being divisive, and if their divisiveness ever went away, there'd be nothing left, because there are pretty little people behind that.
Okay, Jim, thank you so much. Maybe we can have you on before the election or afterwards, and we can talk more about
Thank
this.
you for calling.
But we're winding up the
You're
show
welcome.
now.
Thank you, guys.
And yeah, we'd like to have you back. Take care.
Yep.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye. Bye-bye.
Can I ask you a question? I don't know if you know the answer to this. I'm just generally asking. There's opposition to hormone therapy. How much is it to change your physical stature?
Well, hormone therapy will change your endocrine system, and if you're going female to male, it will lower your voice, and then you have to get it doesn't do anything for the chest. You have to get a double mastectomy. If you're going male to female, it will give you a chest, and then you have to have bottom surgery if you want, and you have to modify your own voice. Your voice stays the same.
I've heard that.
Like $100K?
Oh, he's asking about the price. You were thinking when he said
Well, that's I assume people who are like opposing it are like, well, that's a lot of money for something I don't believe in, but that's not their choice.
like the city covering it.
My hormone therapy, if I paid it out of pocket, would be like $50 a month, just with no surgeries, which is what I'm doing.
A bottom surgery.
Yeah, which is incredibly expensive.
I assume it is.
You can, as far as I know, Boston Medical is the only place that's doing it nearby.
Is it more common to go from male to female versus the opposite?
I think it's about equal.
Price wise, though.
We got 2 more minutes.
I don't know what the prices are on each. As far as what people want to do,
Right.
I think there's equal amounts. I think male or female people are often more in public, whereas the other way around.
I mean, if
female
people
or male,
smoke
we
butts
could-
their whole life, why do we got to pay for theirs? You know what I mean?
Gonzo.
So whatever.
Gonzo, we can have Winter back on, and the
It's-
people that we were going to have on too, Stacy, who's a U.S. rep, and Dawn would like to reschedule, and we can talk. You can have talk about these
I
issues.
assure you, it's cheaper to pay for hormone therapy than to pay for having someone in the mental health ward every 6 months,
course.
because they're extremely dysphoric with themselves.
I'm on board. Just for the record.
We'll have another show, and we'll talk about this. We can talk about this stuff
Right.
because there's a lot I don't know, and talking about the stuff, you know, it brings light into the situation, and it humanizes it.
Preventative care is cheaper than emergency care. Put it that way.
Okay.
I like that. And
Well, Winter, we'll have you
I
back.
said tolerance earlier, just for the record as well.
I know you did,
Okay.
and we actually get along very well.
Mhm.
It's just that I didn't have a son myself, or and I had all nieces, so he's kind of like my surrogate.
My dad
son.
died, and now he's my new daddy.
Yeah, I don't know how he got so tall, though, but yeah.
Genes.
Well,
Genes and nutrition.
my jeans are dirty today.
Of course they are.
Well,
They
that's
Work on
why
my
you should.
car. Hey, you might be coming back next week.
I would like to, if you want me.
Okay,
You the
sure.
new
The,
co-host?
the alderman debates are tonight with Manchester Inkling.
Oh
at
yes,
6
they are.
p.m.
And
Oh, are you partaking?
I'm
No.
doing next week.
Oh, good. Go get him.
oh yeah, that'd be great. We'll
I think you'll do
we'll
great.
talk about the alderman debates next week. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
And we'll have you back.
The first round is today, and the next round is next week.
Okay.
What are you
Thank
turning
you.
into a pumpkin or something?
Yes, I am.
Just a good five
Thank
minutes.
you, everybody.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week, and Winter will be back.
Yes.
Take care.
Get your goodies here, folks.
How dare you? How dare you? How dare you?
Leaning, leaning, safe and secure from all alarms. Leaning, leaning, leaning on the everlasting arms. What a fellowship, what a joy divine, leaning on the everlasting arms. What a blessedness, what a peace is mine, leaning on the everlasting arms.
Leaning on Jesus, leaning on Jesus, safe and secure from all alarms. Leaning on Jesus, leaning on Jesus, leaning on the everlasting arms.
Shame on you, Ruby. Mooning around the house after that mad dog of a man.
Miss Clarence. Ruby, go get the children out of bed and bring them down here. Women are such germ fools. It's a hard world for little things.
Get your goodies here.